All right, and welcome back. And let's welcome our guest, Dr. Faith B. Israel. Of course, she is Deputy Chief Secretary and, of course, Secretary of Health. Good morning and welcome. All right, we're going to try again. I'm not hearing you. And, of course, left off or where we stopped so that we could continue the conversation.
No, I actually think it's worth repeating because I need all of us to be a part of the conversation. We all know what happened last year. We all know that political parties are part of how Trinidad and Tobago and the rest of the world does their politics. Our supporters were the ones who actually kept coming to us and telling us, what are you all doing? Given that everything has happened, given that we know what happened, the world knows what happened, what are we doing? So a group of supporters were actually pulled together and we were saying to them, and they were saying to us, let us work through the process. We pulled some of the elders who had been in politics for a while, we pulled some of the younger people, and everyone, that group was there doing the background work. As I said to the media some time ago, we were actually, as in the assemblymen, we were all very busy running the island of Tobago. So we were not really involved in all of that background work that was being done. So for example, there's a draft constitution, there were several names that were thrown up, and these are all things that actually happened even before this week. So what we did is we decided that instead of what normally happens with every other political party in Trinidad and Tobago, where a person or probably just a few people decide that, you know what, this is our party, this is the name we're going with, we're registering, this is the color we're using, and then that information is just told to the population. We decided that we were going to do this in the most participatory way possible. So we called people together. And this is one thing that I need us to be very clear about. Because we came out of an organization that had members, as of last week, we did not have a list of members for us to call our members together in a closed space, for example, in a private meeting, for example, to have the conversation that we had on Tuesday. And that is why, because I think I heard somebody ask, why was it publicly sent out? Why didn't we call our members? We had no members to call. There are supporters who were there. There are supporters who've been out there. So we had to send out a public call to order, a public notice to all of Tobago, whether you voted for us before or not, whether you supported us or not. We want all of Tobago to be a part of this. And that is why we called everyone there on Tuesday. Let me also answer another question that I hear popping up all the time. Why did we not allow the media there? Because you know what? This was an opportunity for Tobagonians to be very clear, to be very crisp, to be very honest about how they felt. And to be honest, we have had situations where we've had several different conversations said, several different conversations had, where we've had people say good, bad, in between. And somehow the 2 seconds, the 3 seconds that gets blown up and gets thrown into the media is when somebody said something bad or somebody off, which takes away from all of the other good things that were said. And we wanted to allow those individuals who supported us to be free to say what they wanted, to be honest with their commentary, and to not have those things, snippets of those things, be sent into the public space to say, well, that is what the whole meeting was about, when in fact, that is not what the whole meeting was about. So that is why we did not allow the journalists to come in when we were having those conversations. By the way, several people came who honestly I did not expect to be there. No one got a special invitation. No one was told, Brother B, and I'm saying this to you specifically, that you have to come to this meeting. It was a public call, and everybody had the opportunity to decide for themselves whether they wanted to attend or not. As a matter of fact, we had standing room only because honestly, we did not expect that many people to show up on Tuesday. Some people, even our opponents, meaning people who contested the same 2021 elections against us, were in that room, a part of having the conversation. And that is how we want to build a party in Tobago, where it is Tobago-centric, Tobago-focused, and we are able to go from there.
Okay, and I mean, I have two perspectives. One, just touching on the media situation, of course, the media is really a lens for the world to see what is taking place. So whether it be positive or negative remarks, I think the media operates and functions as the fifth estate to provide that sort of transparency. That's one. But the other thing is, of course, in the circulated flyer, it's saying join us as we prepare to launch our political party. Of course, the political party is not launched, it was preparation to launch a political party. But what is the timeline, Dr. Faith B. Israel, with regards to actually the establishment of this political party? Is there a timeline, or would it just be a series of conversations back and forth, and which is welcomed? But in terms of if the intention is to form a new political party, what is the timeline you're working with?
So let me go back to one thing. Yes, I agree that the media is the fifth state and the media is supposed to be the lens. But we have seen, for example, let's look at the flipping the coin. Let's look at what happened at our executive council meeting in Roxborough. If you look at the media report of the executive council meeting in Roxborough, you would think that all we had in Roxborough was bacchanal and all Roxborough people do is come and cuss and whatnot. When in fact, if you look at the entire 2 or 3 hours of that meeting, it was actually a very productive, very economical, very important meeting that the media did not represent. So that is what we are saying. We needed that to be something that is fair and something that truly represents what happens to be the lens. When we were there on Tuesday, we agreed that so many people came with names, with symbols, with colors and so forth. So what we agreed on there is that we would create a 5-member team, and though that team actually came from people who were just members in the room, they came together and we said to them, okay, you heard everything that everybody said. We have all of these things. We were people taking notes about all of the points and all of the colors and all of the names and the symbols and what they mean and that kind of thing. Now that 5-member team would go together, sit down together over the next 2 weeks and look at what is already registered by EBC, because we can't use something that is already registered in terms of a symbol or even part of the name and all of that. You come back now with no more than 5 options, and on the 17th of April we will all vote. We will vote on what the name will be. We will all vote on what the symbol will be, and then based on that we will all vote on what the color will be. So on the 17th of April we are going to come back together now to have that vote. Now at that meeting we may decide at that meeting that we're ready to go and we're ready to just go to ABC and register and everything. But at that meeting the elders may come together and say, well, you know, we really need to think about that or this or the other, and that is why we're doing it this way. So it's not never ending, but it is going to be a process that we allow those on the ground who support us to lead that process.
Okay, and of course that process would take place parallel to the works that needs to be done with your other executives in the THA in terms of developing Tobago, balancing that process with the work that needs to be done. Are you seeing or anticipating any distortion, or you are fully well capable of balancing that process with what persons would have voted you all in for?
So remember, as I said, those of us who are in the executive, meaning the Tobago House of Assembly executive, the assemblymen, secretaries, assistant secretaries, we have really not been a part of this until Tuesday. So we have been laser focused on doing the work of the people. And let me just give a couple examples of what we have been able to do and why we've been so laser focused. Even in the middle of the whole bacchanal last year, if you recognize, we have continued to be absolutely laser focus. When you look at education, for example, I have heard my colleague, Secretary 𝘧𝗢𝗕𝗔𝗚𝗢𝗙, speak about the fact that they have given upwards, if you calculate the different figures, 17 million one time, 15 million the other time, upwards of probably $30 million payment of gratuity that has been outstanding for years and years and years and years. You ain't hearing nobody come on TV and talk about the fact that they get the gratuity, because that does not make sense as a security measure. But that is being done right now. We have a situation where, same way in education, we have a committee that almost every single month, Secretary 𝘧𝗎𝗓 and 𝘚 come to the executive council. with a list of students, Tobago students, who we are giving scholarships to do their work in Trinidad or outside of Trinidad and Tobago. That list, I am sure, is way past 50, heading towards 100 right now. That is work that we have been doing in the interim. By the way, the committee that is doing that work right now, that a similar committee was set up and was being paid a stipend for years and years and years. And when we look back at the records, they didn't give out a single scholarship in years and years and years and years and years. That work is being done. If you look at my division, for example, we have done upwards of 500-600 cataract surgeries. These are people who've been waiting for their cataract surgeries years and years and years and years, years and years and years. They have been getting that done. And we are pushing now to do some more because we realize that the need is so large that we need to do some more. If you look at works, for example, I mean, yes, the road bad, and it's only because of the bitumen situation why we have not been able to do as much patching as we want to do. But we have actually patched more road in the last year and a half or so than those before us have done. And as a matter of fact, let me talk about roads. We have actually built, as in constructed, new roads, more new roads in terms of length over the last year and 5 months in this executive than the previous administration did in the last 21 years that they were there. Okay. All of the roads that we have before were done by Mr. 𝘧𝗢𝗕𝗔𝗚𝗢𝗣𝗙, and the only one they constructed was the one that leads from the highway down to behind 𝘕𝗕𝗕𝗏. We have been able to build more roads than them less time.
All right, Dr. Faith, let's go forward as we are treating with the development of Tobago and the infrastructural, I don't want to say promises, but there is, and you know how dangerous that Bad Rock Road is, and that's how I could call it, because you live within that vicinity or you know of it. What plans are there to have that executed as soon before rainfall? Because we know what is going to happen given the downpour we had last year. Are we ready to execute that project, and what is keeping it back if there is a hindrance in the way?
So you know what, let me tell you, and we have to be honest with ourselves, what it would cost to fix that road if we are to do it with the monies that we got for the Tobago House of Assembly. We wouldn't be able to pay nobody. We wouldn't be able to do nothing else. We wouldn't be able to, because what is required to fix that.
Question, interacting with you, right? Is there approach from an approach, and if we had to fix Tobago, okay, so we don't have the money to do it, but we do have 2 area representatives, Madam Secretary. Is there an intent to break the cycle of politics in the development or the approach to develop Tobago, to say to our area representative, Madam, we have a situation here, you and all will not be able to go home if rainfall again and that road decide for collapse? How can we have a conversation to work together, given that we don't have the money? The Minister of Sinanan said that they have money to help fix roads, given the rain damage or what the water did in the past rainfall. Is there an approach in going forward to get rid of the politics and see about the business in collaboration, if need be, Dr. Faith?
Brother B, I don't know that it is fair for you to ask us to try to get rid of the politics that has been there even before my time. And when I say even before my time, the Minister for Tobago East and Tobago West belonged to a party that has been in power in Trinidad for the last how many years? How much years? How many years? I do not know that it is fair for you to then say to my colleagues and I that we are the ones who need to go begging the Minister for East and West to do their work. Nobody does. They doesn't come and beg me to do my work. Nobody doesn't have to come and beg us to do our work. So I really, really hope that you and the rest of Tobago takes that responsibility off of us, because you are now setting it up so that if it does not work, it now becomes somehow our fault and our responsibility for them to do their job. They were elected by the people of Tobago to represent Tobago.
All right, so
and they need to.
All right, Dr. Faith, let's say that you get a call immediately. They heard. Hold on, ma'am. 1 minute. I'm going to finish.
Let me say though that the Chief Secretary, even within our Executive Council meeting yesterday, indicated that he, in his capacity as a Secretary for Finance, was actually having telephone conversations, I think up to yesterday morning or the day before, with the Minister for Finance to have those conversations happening. So we have never stopped talking. As a matter of fact, I have told people that I have one of the best relationships with my colleague, as in the Minister of Health and so forth, because when we came in after the election, we threw out the whole political partisan part of it. We all have very good relationships with our colleagues in Trinidad to do what needs to do, to say what needs to do, to negotiate what needs to negotiate. But then that does not take away the responsibility of the reps for East and West to do their job as well. They have to do their job as well.
All right. Well, we want to, again, we got to go. But anyway, the point that you made, just like what you said, there ought to be conversations. Just like you say, you have a good relationship with the Minister of Health. I would hope that that's the plan going forward. So the animosity and the political back and forth gets out of the way and the progress of Tobago takes precedent. That's all I'm saying, ma'am. No intent for injury or to cause any bacchanal. That's not what I'm about. I'm asking the pertinent questions dealing with the development of Tobago, and we all have to come together at some point in time to execute the missions that are needed for our betterment, full stop. In closing, ma'am, I'm getting the wind up, and I want to thank you this morning.
And what I have said is that there is no animosity. There has never been animosity. We have been working with our colleagues. So there is no need to say, let there be no animosity, because there isn't.
All right. Very good. Thank you. And all right, so at this point, thank Dr. Fit. And happy Easter, and a coming from me hot cross buns at the end of the day. Right, good. All right, so with that, we go for a break. When we come back, we speak with Mr. 𝘧𝗢𝗕, 𝘕𝗢𝗕, and of course, he is the jazz at dawn. See you after the break.